Welcome to Soltron. This is the video review for the KO Tobot lot. You can find these on Amazon. And here's how they scale with Tobot Mini and a Voyager Transformer. So they're definitely like deluxe class size. Real fast, we'll look at their boxes and you can see that in the models, they use the original colors instead of these knockoff colors. So you can see what this guy originally looked like. I actually like the knockoff colors better for the most part. And I guess these are called Mode Z. And then the instructions are nothing special. They're just newsprint. They feel very cheap, not surprisingly. And I don't think, yeah, there's no branding on these. So these are definitely knockoff, not licensed at all. Okay, and then we'll start with my favorite of the bunch. According to the box, his name is Airplane, but he's a knockoff of Tobot. Nope, I read that right. Tobot Airpang. But yeah, he's a really good looking figure. Great proportions. He looks really good. Of course, he's got this massive, super deformed head, unfortunately. But otherwise, his proportions look really good. He could be like a solid looking robot in his own right. He does have like this visor that moves up and down. They don't come with any accessories or anything. They're very basic robots. And then even the articulation is pretty limited. So this guy does not have a rotating head at all. It would actually be pretty hard to make that work. You'd have to do a lot of cutting. And then he doesn't have shoulder rotation at all. So that's really unfortunate. No bicep, of course. He's only got elbows. And then the elbows don't even straighten out all the way for no good reason. So I don't know what they were thinking. He does have wrist swivel though. I don't know why you'd do that instead of like a shoulder, which shoulder swivel would have been much nicer. He's got like these ball joint, actually no, universal joint hips. So he's got like a mostly full outward kick, full forward, full backwards. And he's got a knee joint that goes 180 degrees, folds up all the way for transformation, and then nothing in the toes. But yeah, really love this head sculpt. Very Starscream or like Skywarp looking. And transformation for these guys is really easy, which is part of the appeal, is you're just going to fold up this cap, this visor, and then you fold this up, and that becomes the front of the jet. And then you just fold up the biceps, go ahead and click the feet together, and then you fold these up to the back where they lock in place, and there you have this stubby airplane, which is clearly not going to fly anywhere, but not bad looking. It looks kind of cool, but yeah, it's very not convincing as a plane. Let's move on to King Tank, or Tankdori from the Tobot. He looks pretty good overall. I'm pleased with his proportions. Definitely SD like the other guys as well. If we get a good look at this head sculpt, you can see he does have a grin and he does have a mustache, and then he's got a bit of mess on his eyes, just a little bit paint mess. And then for articulation, this guy suffers a lot. He does have head rotation. He does have shoulder rotation. He does have elbows as well. No bicep, no wrist swivel. And then he does have like universal hips as well, but they're not going to get much out. You get full forward, mostly full backward. And then you do get some knee joint, but it's like 30 degrees. So not very much knee happening either, but there's enough for some posing. These guys are just not going to pose very well. They all look very stubby and weird. So you're not going to get any cool dynamic posing out of these guys. And then transformation on this guy is pretty simple. I think his head has a spring-loaded gimmick where this is supposed to pop out. I remember that working, but I might have just be imagining it. You kind of just yank his head up. So his head just retracts there. There's these little joints here, which are going to rotate down for the arms, and that will make the back. The arms will become the back of the tank, and then the front of the tank, you're just going to fold up his toes or his heels, and those are going to make the cow catchers. And then you're going to rotate these treads and just click those into place. And then there's going to be your tank mode once we clean him up a little bit. Okay, and there's his little tank nugget. Pretty cool. I think I would prefer the green on this guy, actually. The brown or the desert camo is not that great, the tan. But he does look very much like a metal slug tank, which is very fun. In this mode, he has 0 articulation, so he's not going to move. His turret's not going to move. Nothing's moving in this mode. But pretty fun little tank for what it is. And then let's move on to King Boat, or Tobot Boatking. It's weird they just reversed the names. Really like the colors on this guy. I think they're much better than the original navy blue. This is much more fun. But you can see he's got also pretty good proportions, matches really well with the other guys. We get a good look at his face here too. It's kind of interesting. A lot of like rectangular kind of shapes going on, but not a bad head sculpt. It has some distinctness to it. For articulation, his head does not rotate at all. We do have shoulder joints, so we do have a good shoulder rotation, and there's like a transformation joint in addition to that. So double joint shoulder basically. He does have a ball joint elbow, which is kind of silly and it's kind of in the wrong place. Not really the best place for a ball joint is behind the elbow, but it is there. You can kind of get a bicep swivel, or you get a bicep swivel. You don't really get an elbow bend though. And then you can get full forward kick, backwards, and side kick. So he does have universal hips, and he does have a knee joint here for transformation, so it's kind of in the wrong place. But you can kind of cheat it. It kind of makes a knee joint. You can kind of get him to pose, but mostly not really. So to transform this guy, you're just going to sandwich the legs together. That didn't sound good. Okay, well, maybe you're going to rotate his pelvis up, and then you can just squish his head down, and then you're going to unfold his forearms. And then like a really weird thing, it's kind of hard to pick up on camera, but the red on these two forearms is completely different. This is a really dark red, and this is more of a red like the rest of his body. So this red just doesn't match at all. So very odd to see that, to say the least. And then you're just going to rotate these arm panels up to the shoulders, and then those will just basically rotate down to make the boat. And then you can rotate his legs all the way around using those pretend knee joints, and then clip that together, and then everything just kind of pegs in. And there you have his boat mode, which is tiny and cute, and it's got these little planes on the back, which is ridiculous, and these turrets. But yeah, there's his ship. I don't know what kind of boat this would be, but it's kind of cool looking. Not bad. It's about as convincing as the other vehicle modes. And then the last guy here, Tractor Super. He's not much to look at. This is not Tobot V. I don't know what. This is like one of the old Tobot designs. I really don't like this guy. I've never liked this guy. Never had the desire to buy him. But they all came together, so now I have him. This guy is like doesn't really fit the theme of the other figures. This guy is actually a mini Tobot, where the other ones are full-size Tobot figures. For articulation, you have no head articulation. You do have 360 on the shoulder. You got an outward motion. There is a ball joint here, so you get like bicep swivel too. And you do have elbow, like 90 degrees. You don't have anything in these fists, as much as they can be called fists. And you do have ball joint hips, so this guy's definitely a little bit cheaper than the other ones. And in hand, he feels a little bit cheaper. And then you can maybe get 90 degrees on the knee, but I don't want to force it. It's just going like 45 degrees, so maybe not 90. And then nothing on the feet. But yeah, don't really like this design. Really not a fan of this head. It's the most bland robot head possible. You're going to go ahead and take these armatures and unpeg them. And then you can rotate his head around, and that makes the windshield. Yeah, it looks like the windshield. And then you're going to take this whole pelvis section, and this is going to rotate all the way down. And then you can use these armatures on the heels to make the other set of wheels carefully. Because like I said, this guy, he's probably like a 6 in quality. He's very borderline knockoff toy territory, like where the toy kind of just crumbles in your hand. He's very close, but I think I can transform him without destroying him. And then you rotate these wheels, and then oh, it looks like this ball joint actually needs to go up. He's actually kind of complicated compared to the other guys. And then it looks like this should all fit together, but these toes are in the way. Let me figure this out. I don't know. I guess his toes are just supposed to stay there in his robot legs. And then you just fold the shoulder underneath the toes. And then you just rotate this in place so it's facing the right way. And then everything will gently peg together. And there you have a tractor, which is, for everything, he probably is the most convincing looking vehicle out of everybody. See, his toes were supposed to fold up all the way to the calves. That gets them out of the way. Okay, there we go. Now we got a good looking tractor. Let's bring everybody out. So this is a pretty good set. It costs like $20 on Amazon, which is ridiculous. So these guys are basically $5 each. I would prefer to have the not knockoff versions, but I think the cheapest these guys are is like $35. So compared to $5, this is just a much better deal. The plastic quality on these three is probably, I would say an 8. It's actually not too bad on plastic feel. It's actually pretty good for a KO, maybe a 7, but the quality on these feels okay. I'm not scared to transform them. They're very simple, which is fun. So you could just really quickly take them apart, put them into robot mode. Takes like 5 seconds, which is fun to just pick up, transform, and put away, and then transform back. It's just pretty cool toys. In all, I would recommend them. Don't like this guy, but they come in the set. Really good price. I wish Tobot made these figures were a little bit cheaper, but that's the way it is. So I'll leave a link in the description so you can get your own set, and I'll see you in the next one.